welcome to a new episode of the Illinicast. Today we're going to preview the upcoming game on Saturday. I believe it's at 3 p.m. Eastern on Fox against the Indiana Hoosiers. The Illini obviously coming off a very tough loss at Northwestern. It was a great game, went right down to it. And if you guys watched my preview, I kind of talked about it that, it's a game that Illinois should have won. But Boo Boo is just one of those players in the Big Ten where if the game is close, in the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, he can be the best player on the court. And that's just kind of what it was. We had a chance to close it out. It was tied. Damask had the ball. Could have scored. It's debatable whether he took a good shot or not. He had Shannon to his left, but I understand taking the smaller Bowie and trying to shoot over him. Obviously, it didn't go in. But Northwestern pulled away in overtime. I believe the final score was 96-91. A tough loss, but Northwestern, they're tough to play at home. It's one of the tougher places to play. It's a small stadium, and not that the crowd is all that rowdy, but the students, they tend to get pretty loud. So it's not a great loss, but it's not necessarily a horrendous loss. I consider Northwestern one of the 5-6 best teams in the conference. So, moving on, we will talk about Indiana Hoosiers game coming on, who are kind of on the opposite trajectory. But before I do that, I just want to do a little house cleaning and say in the last 2 weeks, our channel has grown by over 150%. And I just want to thank you all. You're kind of doing me a favor. And I know it sounds kind of sad with me always asking you guys to share and, hit subscribe and hit like, but you guys are doing it. And I'm telling you, you guys are really doing us a favor. Again, with the way YouTube works, the algorithm doesn't consider you until you're at 1,000 followers. So we're not really close to that level, but we're growing, and that's all I can really ask. So having said that, please like and subscribe to this particular video as well. You can find us at Illinicast, obviously on YouTube, which is probably where you're watching. You can find us on all the podcast networks. If you're not necessarily an Illinois fan, but you're more into the Big Ten Conference in general, follow me at Big Ten Show on Twitter and on YouTube. That's another project I'm working on with a friend of mine where we kind of just talk about the Big Ten Conference on a higher level and all teams. We're not, just focused on Illinois, on Michigan, Ohio State. We try to take our turns with everybody. But having said all that, it's time for game preview time, and for that, as I usually do, I'm going to bring on Burke White from the Often Daunted podcast, a sister podcast on the Big Banter Network. Burke, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, definitely sister right now for sure.
It's been a tough stretch for you guys, huh?
Oh my gosh, man, we're coming off. This Illinois game is the third leg, and going into the season, I was convinced this is the gauntlet of our schedule.
I saw this, yeah.
Was Purdue at home,
yeah,
then at Wisconsin, then at Illinois. Now, what's even worse about this entire gauntlet Indiana finds themselves on is we got Purdue at home after they had lost to Nebraska. We got Wisconsin at Wisconsin after they had lost. Who did they drop the 1-2 right before that?
Penn State? Was it Penn State?
Yeah, I believe that might be it. Yeah. And then, of course, Illinois just has a heartbreaking loss and has a week or half a week for you guys. We had a whole week. So, we just got sluggish in our nature, I'm sure. And it's a shame that we have to face these just Big Ten powerhouses right now while they're coming off losses, while they have that, that ache that just fuels you in practice.
Yeah, definitely. And, that's definitely something we'll get to. I'm curious, Burke, before we get to the team and how they've performed so far, what were kind of the preseason expectations of where Indiana Hoosier basketball was supposed to be this year? And where in the trajectory have you guys fallen?
I would say the projections were anywhere 1 through 12th is where I thought we could end up. It was just we have all this on paper talent. These guys are objectively talented individuals, or else they wouldn't have the interest from the next level that they do. And it's just, if all that talent hit and there was a way that they could have the cohesion necessary, Like I thought this could have been a Big Ten contending team. The only problem is I just totally overlooked the roster construction. I
Right.
totally invested too much confidence in the fact that we had a 6th-year senior. Yes, I said that right. This was a 6th year. So like there are super seniors. This dude is a super duper deluxe senior. And that's my bad. My bad trusting that this guy would be mature enough to lead a team for a season. And unfortunately, Xavier Johnson just ain't it.
No. Yeah, I mean, you guys are loaded up front, and I mean, I guess we can kind of talk about it now. Like, you guys have arguably one of the best bigs in the front courts in the Big Ten. Maybe behind Purdue, just because they got that big guy in the middle. Ours is pretty decent with the guys that we can throw out there, but I'm trying to, fast think in my head right now. Like, your front court has a group of really talented guys, and it's the backcourt that is probably one of the worst in the
And
conference.
see, that's the biggest shame about this whole program right now because the backcourt is the veteran experience of this team. And it's just sad because how can those guys lead like capably without being able to, lead by example?
So what happened? Like, has Woodson not been recruiting the backcourt so much? Like, how come there's such
No,
a lack of talent back there?
I genuinely think it was, we went out into the transfer portal. We went and saw who we could get, and I'm sure we could have gotten some guys, but a lot of guys were probably told this is Xavier Johnson's team, and you'll play with Trey for minutes. We'll see if you can get in, but no top transfer wanted to come to a team that was being quote unquote led by this 6th-year senior point guard.
Makes sense.
It just doesn't. Yeah, there just wasn't theoretically time for you. Now I'm just begging we had anybody to throw out there
Yeah. I
because speaking on Xavier Johnson a little, I'll fill the
Yeah, please.
Illini into just the woes that your neighbors to the east are feeling. Um, it's basically we made our bed, we're laying in it now, and Xavier Johnson just he. It's insane how somebody who has arguably played the most college basketball out of anybody in college basketball, 6 year senior. It's amazing how this guy still reacts to fouls like any of his whining before has ever once changed a call. Like in newsflash, it just hasn't ever.
Yeah.
And it's just he had at one point head in that Wisconsin game. They were talking on the just the commentary, and they were just saying how Xavier Johnson through these last 2 games, the Purdue game and the Wisconsin game, had more flagrant fouls than he had successful made field goals.
Yikes.
And that's our senior leader. That's the guy everyone's supposed to turn to. That will pretty much tell you why we are where we are. And I genuinely thought, this team had a lot of hope with just the sheer talent. Getting Kalel Ware was a huge get. And
Mhm.
Kalel Ware is still feasting. Credit to Mike Woodson for being able to unlock something in him that Dana Altman and them just overlooked entirely at Oregon.
Speaking of Ware, do you know if he's going to be playing in the game against the Illini tomorrow?
So he was limited in practice all week. I don't even think he did any physical contact. So if I was a betting man, I'd say he's a no-go. But
Mm.
while usually I would be like, oh yeah, that sucks. Like the thing about Malik Renew's game is he has really thrived in those games where Kalel has been out. I don't know why Mike Woodson just does not let Kalel just sit on the wing on the offensive side. Like we don't need him down low. He can shoot the three, which is pretty incredible for his size. The rate at which he converts the three. But like Malik's biggest game of the season so far was another game that Kalel was out in. I think he had 34 points in that one. And so I will say that's where this game could get interesting because I know Illinois' weakness, if they do have one, it is going to be defensively in that front court.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like Dane Danger, I mean, I respect the hell out of that guy. He is a tough SOB. But man, he just hasn't been getting a lot of run, but this would be a huge game for him to have the experience to be a part of this one, I think.
I mean, I hope
That's
so.
just me putting my thoughts on your program real
Yeah,
quick.
I mean, I hope so. I've been on the Dane train for 2 years now, but
I like
the
that.
guy, the guy just, Brad just every time he comes in, he has a minus plus minus for the game. There's something about defense that that just doesn't register with the guy. So anytime he comes in, the opposition immediately focuses on getting the guy he's guarding the ball, and more often than not, those possessions end up with points. And again, Dane's a scoring machine. He really is. I think he could be starting for half the teams in the
Oh
Big
yeah.
Ten just because of his soft touch. When he gets the ball down low, the guy's again he's very soft touch. He's a scoring machine. But on the other end, if a team you can't play drop coverage, you can only hide and shield him so much. His minutes once the Big Ten season started have gone down drastically. You're talking
Yeah.
about less than 10 minutes a game, and even that's high. It's closer to like 5 minutes a game, and that's surprising for someone like me who thought we could count on him to be one of the main scorers on this team. I still think outside maybe Shannon, he's probably no. I guess now that Damask and all these other guys, pure score Dane down low, he can match up with anybody. I guess that was my point. But as you were saying, there is a path for Indiana to win this game. I know you guys are kind of in shambles, and I think your best. I was looking at your schedule this year. I think your last or your best win this year was probably Ohio State at home. Was it?
Sonny, this is it, man.
Yeah,
For Indiana, this is it.
yeah,
Like if we don't get this win,
yeah.
there's no tournament because there is 0 good wins on the Indiana resume.
Okay, right. So, I mean, so let's just talk about Mike Woodson then. Like, this is what, year 3? Are we in year 3 or year 4?
3.
Okay, so what are the vibes around Mike Woodson right now?
The vibes are a lot of people are getting very loud and
Yeah.
they're really calling that this needs observed. I'm not on that train yet because I'm just like every single year Mike has gotten us better. We've ended the season better than the last. This will be definitely a down year compared to last season. But again, he was so handcuffed to Xavier Johnson, and a lot of the fan base did have faith that Xavier wouldn't do this. Definitely, like he would not do this,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just such a tough read. I am team Mike Woodson. Now I'm saying that right at the jump. Some of his minute decisions are bananas. Like he will so quickly just foul his own guys out of games. Like if McKenzie is the only hot hand on the court, he's the only one getting a bucket for us. We should just be feeding him the rock all day, letting him cook. Because McKenzie, if you guys, for your fans who don't know, McKenzie is the best freshman in the Big Ten. He is. I'm just saying it straight up. He hasn't gotten what he's bringing right now. Out of the gate, he was so slow, but he has really unlocked something in his game. It's just Mike Woodson. If he picks up 2 fouls with 10 minutes left in the first half, it'll be a game like at Purdue. He would do this. He would sub him out, and it's like, man, you got to just ride it. You got to let it
Right.
rip in that case. And like he did that in the Wisconsin game. He subbed out McKenzie with 12 minutes left in the first half. McKenzie ended the game with 2 fouls. It's just he's just subbing his own. He's subbing his own guys, the only guys who can get a bucket for us on this program right now. He's subbing them out with just nobody else to go to, and it's just bananas. It's ludicrous right now. I can't stand by it, but I mean, he knows basketball so much more than me. I have to think he has some grand design, but
Right.
it is so frustrating watching this team week after week, being able to see the issues with what's going on, and just seeing the program just from top to bottom. If the message is getting lost at X, if it's Mike to X to the team, like something needs done to instill in the guys just a sense of buying into the I don't know, constitution of the program. Like Brad Underwood has gotten your Illinois team to buy in.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say, "Oh, that's dumb, cliche sports stuff." No, it's very real.
I think
Having a
so.
program of guys that buys in. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
nobody's buying into this team.
Like last year's team was not bought in. Our
Yeah,
Illinois team,
exactly, exactly.
we had a couple of guys who were just kind of in it for themselves, and that's
Yeah,
not the case
it
this
could
year.
it could only be like one or two bad eggs,
Right.
and that just ruins it all.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, unfortunately, right now, hey, I hate to call him out, but he's just utterly let us down. And Xavier Johnson, him being the one to turn to, just has not bode well for this team. And at the same time, I'm like, is Mike to blame for that? He was the one that was like, yeah, X is the answer. X is the answer. Like, I mean, but again, it was like Indiana fans were already kind of in that camp, but
Yeah.
it's tough, man.
Your tone is making me sad, Burke.
No, hey,
It's hard
it's
for me to
always
feel. It's hard for me to feel sad for an Indiana fan, but
oh,
I'm just like,
it's
I
always
feel like I
darkest
gotta put
before
a
the
hand
dawn.
around your
It's
shoulder or something.
dude, we are gonna win 2 games in a row at some point, and we will be right back to the obnoxious, like the obnoxious ass takes that we always have.
Okay, speaking of obnoxious Indiana fans, and I'm not calling you one,
No.
pending your answer to this question, just because
Yeah.
I like to have fun on social media a little bit, and it seems like a lot of Purdue and Indiana fans have united to bond to go up against the Illinois fans. So let me ask you, for the Big Ten championship, if Purdue is playing Illinois, who would you rather lose? Let's put it that way. You don't have to have one win, but who would you rather lose? See, you're taking way too long for
I
this.
have I would
I'm just
no,
telling you
no,
right back to
see,
the
no,
obnoxious.
because I have reasons. I have reasons.
Okay, all right.
I
After it's
so I
you're
would
gonna.
say I would rather Illinois lose the Big Ten championship.
All
But
right, well,
listen, but listen,
that's enough for this show. No, I'm
that's
kidding.
because a Purdue team that lost the Big Ten championship to Illinois, they might figure some shit out the next week. I
Fair,
need Purdue to feel as comfortable as they
fair.
can
Okay. I see where you're going
that
with that.
first week of March Madness, man. I do. I that's just what I need now. That is the outcome for this season I'm currently rooting for with the position my team has put us
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
in.
All right. Speaking of
Yeah.
outcome, there is a path. I think I saw Illinois was a 13.5 point favorite tomorrow. I think that is pretty big. I
It's
think
definitely fair.
you think so. 13. Yeah, I mean, I was surprised. I figured it'd be double figures, but I thought it'd be closer to maybe 11. 13 and a half. It's 14 on some books now. Uh, there is a path for Indiana to win. And, from my knowledge, like, see, what Illinois does really, really well is they are one of the biggest teams in the Big Ten. And so what we do is we crash the boards, and we are one of the best, if not the best, rebounding team in the conference, whether it's percentage wise or offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding. We just have guys who all crash the boards. Indiana's one of those teams who actually matches up size for size with Illinois. And the last couple big guys who have played Illinois, they've had their way. Basically, Brad Underwood's strategy is, if the opposition has a good big, we'll let him take the ball every single time and, try to score one-on-one on Coleman Hawkins. We're not going to let some of the other guys on the outside make a three-pointer or get going. Like if there's a good point guard, we're not going to let them get going. Indiana has some really quality bigs, as we kind of talked about. So let's just say a miracle happens. The obnoxious Indiana fans come out on Saturday. What's the game script for the Hoosiers to win in Champaign?
There's only really one way that I could see it possibly going, and as far fetched as this sounds, it is. I'm gonna go ahead and say Kalel's out of this game. It is Mackenzie Mbako and Malik Renew combining for let's how many points do I think Illinois would score? Probably it's Mackenzie and Malik combining for roughly 60 points.
Okay.
I would hope to God the backcourt may be able to get 15 to put away Illinois like 75-72. But again, I just expect Illinois to be able to score far more easily than that at home. Our defense has been abysmal at times. And yeah, I just don't. My show, I advertise it as an ignorantly optimistic perspective on the Indiana Hoosiers. And man, this is what
You're optimistic.
this is what the current
Oh,
optimist
oh,
Indiana fan looks like right now.
jeez. Oh
Dude,
boy.
it gets so much worse.
All right, so let's get to the game predictions. And if you're watching this, please leave your final score predictions in the comments. If you nail the score completely right, I'll throw you something. I don't know, maybe tickets to a future game or something like that. So throw in your submissions in the comments. Burke, let's hear your final score.
My final score is I'm going to say 75-72 Indiana. There you go.
Oh, what? All this
No,
we've been talking for
no,
20 minutes.
75-72 Indiana. That's for any of the Indiana listeners. All right.
Oh, okay, okay,
That
okay.
Yeah, you can close it. You guys can leave now. All right. Probably Illinois 82, Indiana 71.
Okay,
That's my
that's
guess.
actually very close to my guess. I'm guessing 85-71. So, either
Hey,
you
there we go.
barely cover the spread or you're going to get a push.
Yeah.
But Burke, thank you again for coming on the show today. Please tell the folks watching where they can find you.
Yeah, hey, if you guys want to just share in the misery of if you guys just want to check in, see how your neighbors are doing, you can find me anywhere you find your podcast or the Often Daunted podcast. You can also find me on all socials at Often Daunted. Hey, Sonny, thank you so much for having me on, man.
And also, to let some of you guys know, Burke and I will probably be doing a game recap sometime Sunday, and that'll be on his podcast. So definitely,
Yeah.
I may do one after the game tomorrow. We'll see a quick recap, but Burke and I will kind of go back and forth about what we saw from each other's teams and our teams in a little bit more long form on Sunday. And that's going to be on your podcast, or do you do YouTube too? Or I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, I'll get it up there, and yeah, I'll send you an audio file of it. You could put it up on your feed, so
Perfect.
anybody
Okay.
already
Well,
subscribed can get their hands on it as well.
sounds good. You heard what the man said. Subscribe.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, then. Thank you
Hey,
guys all for watching, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully, Illinois takes care of business tomorrow. I genuinely think that if Indiana even keeps it close tomorrow night and Illinois eventually prevails, it might be time to start worrying if we're Illinois. We got to come in locked in tomorrow. We got to come in, we had a bad loss. We can't have too many losses, especially if we want to win this conference. Purdue plays, I think, Sunday at Rutgers, and a place that they struggle at. Wisconsin has a good game. I think it's just about started right now with Michigan State, so I don't have the result of that. But those are two of the teams we're going to be competing with, and we need to keep pace. So,
hey,
Burke,
one
go
thing
ahead.
really quick, just one
Yes,
thought on the Illini. I'm on an
of
Illini
course.
show. I wanted to share it. I really think this year's different for you guys. I really do. I really think that the way that Terrence Shannon went down, like with him out of the roster, the way this team was able to come and galvanize together despite his absence, they were able to get the wins they needed. If this were any season prior, Illinois falls off in that moment. So hey,
Completely agree.
I want to share optimism for a fan base right now who would actually enjoy some.
I'm going to clip just that and post it on Twitter and just have the Indiana fans
Yeah.
come towards and
Hey,
get angry. No, I mean I agree with you. Like Domask, Guerrier, Justin Harmon, a lot of these players really grew into a different role when Shannon was gone for those 6 or 7 games. And, obviously now Shannon's back and we'll kind of see how everyone gets together. But I hate to admit it, but, I'm very confident we may or may not win the conference. That would be nice, but it's not, on my things that I need to do for it to be a successful season.
yeah, we ain't
Obviously,
Purdue. We ain't Purdue.
yeah, Underwood's got that cloud over his head where he needs to win, get to the Sweet 16, and that's ultimately the goal. And I just think the way this team is kind of put together, we have as good of a chance as we've had in the last couple of years. But until then, we're just going to see. And until then, we're going to take it game by game. Thank you again, Burke, for coming on.
Of course,
And
of course.
we'll see you on Sunday on Burke's podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.